Have you ever tried online dating? I have. It sucks. So a few weeks ago I made a video talking about the most toxic social media platforms, but I left out a completely different sector of social media, and that is the dating apps and the dating websites. Now in concept, these dating apps sound awesome. A full network of people all in your area, all around your age range, all looking for other people to socialize with and get together with. So what could go wrong? So of course there is an obvious cliche about dating apps being completely looks-based, all that matters is that you have good-looking pictures and that you're attractive, and then everything else about you isn't important to people who are just looking at a profile of you. But a big thing that makes these dating apps so bad these days is the way that they're structured. The old method of just having your dating profile and being able to search for other people and message whoever you want has now been almost completely replaced by just swipe left or swipe right. Now the whole swiping system has really taken over most of the dating apps these days. You basically just get to sit back and judge people based on their looks, saying, oh, you're good enough for me, you're not good enough for me. It kind of reminds me of a specific emperor.
Let's take a look-see. Hate your hair. Not likely. Yikes, 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 and let me guess, you have a great personality.
So you basically have this system where everyone gets to sit back and look at all of the people lined up for you, as if everyone is applying to be with you and you just get to decide which of them you want to pick. And this can really cause a few psychological problems with people. Because for one, you get some people that get so picky, they think like, oh, I've got so many options, I better narrow it down. But what you're really doing is you're just cutting out 90% of people who aren't beautiful, and then you end up only swiping right for the few people who you're probably never going to match with anyway. Another problem that really comes with this is that even if you do manage to get through and match with a person and have a decent conversation, so many people are so quick to just discard people that as soon as they see one red flag with them. Because in your mind, you're just like, oh, this person is slightly annoying, or they like something that I don't like. Oh well, I'll just toss them out. There's thousands of other people lined up waiting to talk to me, so I can be more picky. And when you also mix that with the fact that so many people are just so bad at socializing these days because they spend all of their time only chatting online, a lot of the times you'll match with people and you'll just never talk. Or you'll have like 5 minutes of small talk and then never speak again. So I don't know about you guys, but I have a really hard time trying to get to know somebody just off of a couple pictures of them and then some basic small talk texts. And while that covers most of the general problems with online dating, let's take a look into each individual app and see exactly what's wrong with all of them. So first of all, you have Tinder. Tinder's probably the most well-known dating app ever made. And it's almost kind of a stretch to even call it a dating app anymore because it seems most people are just using it as a hookup app. And if I had to describe Tinder in one word, it would be shallow. It's basically the strongest example of just post a bunch of the best pictures you've ever looked, even if you don't look anything like that. Write a sentence in your bio. Maybe don't even write a bio at all, who cares? And then just start sexting with anybody you match with. It seems like a lot of people are so afraid of actually putting any effort into this, so everyone just likes to think like, oh, I'm only doing it because a friend wanted me to. Or, I'm not really taking this that seriously. Nobody ever wants to appear like they are making an effort into trying to find a relationship. Because they feel like, if I let people know that I'm actually looking for somebody, then I'll come across as desperate. And so I just don't want to look like I'm putting any effort into it at all. And hence you have a bunch of people who put no effort and don't get anywhere with it. Then you have Bumble. Now, Bumble, it's a little bit better than Tinder, I would say. I mean, Bumble is basically just Tinder, except that the girl always has to be the one that messages first. Probably in an effort to prevent girls from being harassed so much on these sites. But it mostly just means you're going to get fewer matches, and even when you do match, sometimes they just won't even message you anyway. So it's just Tinder, but with less interaction. Now, something to also consider about these sites is that there's almost always about 2 to 3 times more men than women active on these sites. Which means that the men on the site are usually much more desperate and have to keep being more and more pushy to try and get anything out of it. So if you're a man using a site and you're passive and you just kind of sit back and view profiles or wait for messages to come in, you're probably not going to get anywhere. But if you're a woman using these sites, you're probably just going to get bombarded with messages all the time, so you're not going to bother seeking out other guys. But overall, this huge gap in the numbers makes it so that women get to be a lot more picky with the guys they choose, and guys have to be a lot more lenient and just take what they can get a lot of the time. And so you're probably thinking like, wow, this sounds like a great place for women then. They just get to sit back and all of the men come to them and then they just have it easy. But somehow, a lot of women don't seem to enjoy the whole dating apps either. Hence why there's not very many of them actually using the site. But now moving on to the next site, we have OkCupid. Now I actually used to really like OkCupid. There's a lot of room to give decent bios, you can answer a whole bunch of personality questions and then it rates each person as a percentage to how well they would match with you. And it was overall pretty straightforward. You could look at all of the profiles in your area. I mean, you could look pretty much anywhere if you really wanted to. And you could just send out messages left and right to whoever seemed interesting, and then maybe you might get a few responses back. I actually used to meet people on OkCupid fairly often between 2016 and 2018. But of course, good things never last, as they had to redesign their site to be more like Tinder. Now the way it goes is like, you can still browse a lot of profiles, but if you want to send somebody a message, you have to first like their profile, and then send them the message, but they won't ever see your message unless they also like your profile back. Also, after you send them a message, you're not even allowed to look at their profile again unless they like you back. But the thing is, they won't know that you liked their profile, and they also won't know that you sent them a message. So you have to find somebody, like their profile, send them the message, and then they have to coincidentally also find your profile and give you a like before your message to them will even show up. So essentially, when you send somebody a message, it automatically blocks you from their profile, and then they have to manually come and find you and unblock you. So basically, it's a site for blocking people rather than meeting people now, and I actually haven't had any success with it since they made these changes. And I don't see their site as ever being useful again unless they go back to their old ways. Now there is still one site out there where you can still browse profiles, you can still message anybody you want, but that is Plenty of Fish. And Plenty of Fish is terrible. Now when I say I like Plenty of Fish because of its old-fashioned style where you can, look at everyone's profile and send out messages, it's also old-fashioned in that it still looks like MySpace of 2008. The site looks completely outdated. They still have not seemed to figure out how to do bubble messaging, and when you send messages to people, it's like, type up a message, hit send, they will check their inbox, and then they will hit reply, and then you have to refresh your inbox, and then you can receive the message. It basically acts like email, but even slower than email. So not really the best way to have an engaging conversation. But also even worse than that is that most of the profiles on Plenty of Fish are bots. I mean, there are bots and fake accounts and catfish on all of the dating apps, but Plenty of Fish seems to have a very extreme problem with that. Like seriously, if you just log on and you just stay logged in, you just have the tab open, you will get messaged like every hour or two. And you'll just look at the profile of the person messaging you and you'll just like, yeah, that's not a real account. This person is trying to scam me. And so it's like hard to ever talk to anyone on that site because if anybody ever messages you, you're automatically just going to think they're a bot. So there may be plenty of fish in the sea, but unfortunately most of them are catfish. Now those are most of the free dating apps that are out there that are pretty mainstream. Another pretty good one actually is Facebook dating. It's kind of just an extra tab on the Facebook mobile app where you can just look at people in your area, and it's very similar to Tinder, but it also isn't trying to get money from you, so it's better than Tinder, I guess. But overall, I don't think that it's mainstream enough that most people really know about it. And I know some people might be saying like, oh, you should try out the paid ones like eHarmony or Match.com or something like that. But to be honest, anytime I've used multiple platforms at the same time, if I have an account on OkCupid and one on Plenty of Fish and then one on Tinder, and I just kind of use them multiple ones casually, logging on once a week, I tend to see a lot of the same people using all of them. You're just kind of covering as much ground as possible. So I feel like if you went onto one of the paid sites, you're just going to see a lot of the same people again, but only the most desperate of those same people. So I would think that if the free sites aren't working for you, the paid ones aren't going to be any better. But overall, if you really want to use the dating apps, go right ahead, I'm not going to stop you. I just feel like they're kind of a waste of time because most of these apps are designed to get you to waste a lot of time or pay a bunch of money to not have to waste a lot of time. And I have tried paying for a few of them in the past, and it does make it a little more convenient. But no matter how much you pay for a dating site, it's not going to make the people that you're looking at want you anymore. But hey, pretty much all of the close friends I have today are people that I've met through mostly OkCupid or other online means in the past 5 years. So I can't say that they're all bad, but hopefully we get some kind of platform that doesn't promote such shallow, toxic behavior. Because as it stands now, they don't make it very easy to meet people. I know how much you guys miss Faye. It's kind of hard to ever get her in the videos because she likes to really mess me up. But she's actually been here in the video the whole time.